Hi, I'm Lars. We want to widen our walkway here. I'm going to show you how to do it. Well, hello everyone. Right now I'm going to discuss some of the processes and the steps through this project. Right now, you'll see that I'm getting the forms installed. I'm using like a 2x4s and a 1x4, and then the little stakes, that's what the forms are going to be screwed and nailed onto. And you'll see me using a level. I am using a level to try to get it fairly level. The challenge is sometimes with a slate, because the pieces are on, it's not the kind of slate that's exactly the same thickness because it's natural stone. So there's ups and downs to it. So the challenge here was to try to get some sort of an edge on an edge that goes up and up, up and down. That's why I'm spending a little more time than if it was just flat cement. Um, here's a picture of the compactor, the gas-powered compactor that I rented. I rented from one of the big box companies, and so basically you rent it for a couple hours or 4 hours or whatever. I think we rented it for 24 hours. It's almost no more cost really to rent it for a whole day. So um, so with that compactor, basically you can see me filling in uh, with gravel the void that I created there, that dugout. And generally, you want to have between 3 and 4 inches of gravel when you're pouring any kind of concrete. And I think maybe we had a little over 3 inches. So what the compactor does is make it nice and flat so that when the cement comes on there, it has some stability to it. And this compactor here, you might see a little later, we're going along, with the thing on here. I'm putting a little extra sand in one area because when you have I'm manually stomping the gravel with with that manual stomper, because the compactor that we rented would only fit, a space of a certain width. So now we're pouring the concrete, and as I go along, I have a little stick that I created that when put on top of the 1x4, it just gives me the right level for the cement. And for the cement, I had to plan to have enough room to have like a 1/2 inch of uh, mortar or thin set mortar, and then be able to place the slate on top of that, and the ending result should be something very fairly level and even with the current walkway. On this kind of a project, um, the cost is not really as big a deal as time. It's a big time commitment because you've got to wait for the cement to dry, then you have to put the mortar and stuff on and have to wait for that to dry. So it's not that expensive, but it just takes a lot of time. So now here we poured cement, and I put a little 2x4 across it so that we could walk across until it got hard. Now here the cement has cured, or at least dried enough to where we can walk on it. And now I'm putting in the thin set mortar, or sometimes they just call it tile mortar. I just call it thin set because that's what a lot of places call it. Um, and so I'll explain a little something about the trowel that I'm using. It may not be so easy to see later on when I'm doing a little slower motion. You can see it. So a cement or mortar trowel, a notched one, has the ones I'm using, they're little 1/4 inch squares. So when you put the mortar onto the cement or pad or whatever you're going to put it on, you want to have you want to have these little ridges sticking up. If I were just take uh, a putty knife or something and just put flat cement on there, then when you put the tile on it, you put it down and there's nothing you can do. You can't go up or down because that stuff's pretty dense. Well, so the ridges allow you to grooves allow you to put it on so that you can move it around. You can push it up, or you can kind of tap on it to get the right height that you want. So here you see as I go along, I'm just making as much mortar at a time that I need for maybe 3 or 4 squares. And you see I've got little green tags on the tiles. That's because I numbered them because of this sort of a slate tile, they're not all the same thicknesses. So they vary. And so I had to try to also put in the ones in the right core, the ones that look better with another one sitting next to it, because they are all really different colored. Um, okay, so now I am continuing to finishing that up. Um, and I had to come up against the cement driveway, so that was I had to fill in some stuff at the end of the new patio to kind of match in with the driveway there. So in a little bit here, oh, there was just a tiny glimpse right there of the cement saw. I have a wet stone saw that I use, and that's perfect for cutting this slate. This slate is actually very easy to cut. And the kind of blade that you have on a stone saw it's harmless to your fingers. I mean, you can put your fingers on it while it's going. It doesn't have that sharp edge to it, but it cuts stone very well. So here I am taking out all the little spacers, the little plastic pieces that you put in there, kind of space to get to lay down the tile and to put it where you want. In this case here, Uh, I used them somewhat. The problem was that the current walkway that I had, those pieces of slate, they're supposed to be 12 by 12 inches. They were a little smaller than the new ones that I put in, so I had to kind of fudge the lines to make it look like like they were all put in at the same time. Um, so that's why they're generally, like when I've done slate on my patio, in our kitchen, it's all uniform. You know, if you're not trying to match something else and you're putting a brand new one in, those spacers are very useful to get you exact straight lines and all that. So here I am kind of cleaning out the grout with I don't know what it's called, but it's some sort of tools that has like a diamond tipped edge on it to clean out all the grout, or not the grout. I mean the thin set underneath. So because what happens when you put down these tiles, you're going to have excess mortar that kind of squirts out between each tile. And then you need to go through and clean that out. And you saw a little while ago, I was laying down, just huffing and puffing, just going back and forth and back and forth. It's very time consuming and just sort of scratching all that stuff out. That stuff is actually pretty hard. So get that all cleaned out. And the reason I wanted to clean it out is because once you put the mortar down or the grout down, then you want a nice thick layer of grout. And the grout that I used on this here is sanded. If you have a tiny gap between the tile you're putting down, then you don't want to use sanded. The sanded is used for gaps that are like maybe a 1/4 inch or more, because otherwise it would crack, and the sand keeps that gap, helps the grout to stay solid and not to crack. So now you'll see me just going back and forth until it's all nice and clean, and all that stuff is removed. And I just go and use a shop vac and I vacuum it all out. And one thing that we have not included here is actually the grouting process. And the grouting process is you buy the grout either pre-mixed when it's wet, or you buy a bag of a powder, and they come in all kinds of different colors. So the color I got was some sort of a charcoal color that matched the current one. But instead of just trying to add on to, I actually went through and I cleaned out all the grout and I regrouted the whole area so that it was all the same color. So here I am again, just going over it and over it. And with the grout, once you put it down, you just kind of force it in between all the cracks with a trowel. Instead of a notch trowel, you get one that has like a rubber bottom to it, and then so you're rubbing on the stone, it doesn't scratch it. It's a long process of using a wet sponge, and then you try to wipe it off, and then rinse it, put a new sponge on there, dip it again in water, and just keep. It's a long time. It takes a bit of time to get it all clean, but here I am at the end, and we were really thrilled and happy with the result. And here you go. And you can write some comments in the comment section if you have any questions, and maybe we can get back to you if you have any questions. But there you go. That's our extended patio project. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful. Bye.